Game started.
Najdorf. Well, let's try e4 and see if he wants to play the Najdorf. Give him a chance. All right. So is the main line open Sicilian when you play d4? And now a6 would be the characteristic move. This is a Najdorf. So why don't I go with the old main line with bishop g5 and f4 to support the bishop. Queen there. Ooh, is this the poison pawn variation? Yeah, I think so. Here, let's try it. So you give up this pawn. Oh, I didn't take it. Oh, shucks. Yes, you give up this pawn on b2. Play rook to b1 and chase the queen. And you're just a pawn down, playing for some compensation. But he played a knight move instead, so this guy is no longer pinned. Well, he was never pinned. That's queen b6 unpins the knight as well. So the question is, should I go ahead and defend this pawn, or should I leave it there? Let's develop another piece. So he can still take, and I have to play rook to b1 to chase the queen, because the rook is hanging there. He can play his knight to c5, going after this pawn. That might force me to actually take his knight. What other idea does he have in this position? Bishop e7 is an idea. Oh, just hitting my bishop. Okay, I wasn't so afraid of that. This bishop is just dropping back to b3, providing some cover for these pawns. Now I could castle queenside. Seems pretty secure. Okay, so this pawn will get loose if the knight is chased away. So perhaps now is a good time to play. Well, D. No, that's E. E5 is a pawn set, because pawn takes, knight takes is possible. So I'll take the knight, gets rid of some pressure on this pawn. Now e5 is still a pawn sec. Okay, how about rook e1? Oh, rook e1. Pawn here, where does the knight go? Maybe the knight goes this way. Oh, he didn't bother to attack my knight. I thought he was going to play b4 there. Okay, so now I can play, and probably should play e5. e5, pawn takes. His knight moves. Well, he's got this annoying g5 move, doesn't he? Knight g4, rather. My knight is not hanging anymore. So I could move my queen away to cover the light squares here. And once again, think about playing e5. Yeah, so e5, pawn takes. Now the knight's not going here. Could go to it could go to this square, d5. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, hits the rook over there, and wins a pawn. Okay. So he just went back. Now, do I want to pawn storm the queen side, or maybe advance with the knight? This. That's losing the Okay, let's reroute this knight. So if I bring this knight back to f3, supporting the e-pawn, then I can play knight to e4, threatening to go to d6 at some point maybe. And now I can also consider pushing h4, h5. I mean, I could have played that earlier too. Would have been an idea. Okay, he's piling up the pressure on my c-pawn. But it's currently defended. Knight here he takes, knight here. Maybe instead of a pawn push, maybe knight g4. But then he has queen takes. Okay, let's go with h4, h5. Yeah, that was an interesting move. So how about c3? So bishop c2 is possible. It's probably a better square than stranding the bishop over here on a2. And the knight on e4 protects c3. Yep. Okay, let's get out of the pin with the king. So pawn takes, knight takes. And now this, actually a3 is probably a pretty good move here. This pawn is under attack, but if he just pushes it to a3, this knight is not supportable. I can't push on with b3 and the knight hangs. Where could the knight go? The knight could go to b5, hitting the queen. Takes, takes. And then the bishop hangs, so that's not good. Or there. Okay, so defending the knight seems difficult. I probably need to unpin. Unless I just ignore it and go for his king. So if I play knight g4, he takes my knight, and then I can't play queen h5, knight g5, queen h5, because he's got that square covered. Okay, let's just, dangerous though it looks, grab this pawn and give up the exchange. So the queen and the rook are guarding these entry squares, also the bishop. And now I can drop back to b3 and hold on to things this way. So not too bad. Let's see. Pawn onto h5. He's stopping that with his knight. Where can I go? There's knight here, here. Probably knight to g5. Maybe piling up on this e6 square. Knight g5 also hits h7. Maybe there are some ideas there. There's also rook f and rook c1 hitting the queen. Yeah, it seems I want to be over here on the king side. Maybe though g4 h5 is something I should play too. So let's count. I've got two pawns. No, just one pawn. I have one pawn for the exchange. And open position here. He's got the rooks and I have a bishop. Not clear if that's adequate compensation. But g4, h5, pawn takes, pawn takes. You can't take with the knight, and then my queen can maybe enter on the h file or the g file. Maybe push the pawn to. Okay, so he's supporting e6. So let's. Sorry, not that one. g4. That was the idea. It's nice. The bishop does double duty. It defends over here on the queen side and also makes threats on the king side. So can I play knight takes f7? You can take with the rook, the king, or the queen, and then this is defended well enough. These pawns all become loose, but I don't see the tactical justification there. Let's go back this way. Maybe routing back to. I guess I'm going to push on with h5. And if he pushes forward, I can move my bishop to c2 and my queen to e4 and threaten checkmate this way. And his knight is now trapped, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got one move. And all the other squares are covered. And unless he prevents it, I'm going to just play queen to d3 or queen to e4 and threaten checkmate here. If he pushes, I have an en passant. If he pushes the f-pawn. The bishop can be a really strong attacking piece. So in certain situations, it's worth a rook. Is it worth a rook here, though? So here he's threatening to trade off my queen, which I don't really want. So without the queens, how can my knight invade? Here. But I guess I can go in this way. Queen here to f6 maybe, but the bishop is hanging, so I have to be careful. So bishop d4, queen f6, hitting h6. And well, his king can't come up to defend it because the bishop covers all these light squares. Maybe rook d4 is an idea. I left this pawn hanging. That's probably what he's thinking about. He's thinking, can I take that pawn? So let's see. Queen takes g4, queen to f6. Queen takes knight, queen to h6, threatening mate. Yeah, then he's got his knight. His knight can come to his knight can come to f5, blocking this diagonal. That's the problem. I didn't mean to give up that pawn. Okay, he's hitting the knight. I can defend the knight. He's got knight to f4. If I play queen to e3, defending the knight, he's got knight f4. Knight f5. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. It's not looking good. Still, I don't see anything else, so let's play a move. Keep the game going. Yeah, now that's interesting. He's given up this diagonal again. So I could try queen d3. Queen d3, queen f5 would probably be played. So why don't I hit the queen first with this rook move. And maybe it'll go to a square from which it cannot reach f5. That would be my ideal scenario. Although he just has to go back to c4 and cover these two squares, and I can't get on the diagonal once again. Although with the queen on c4, well, let's see, my bishop is attacked, so I have to defend it. I was going to say maybe there's a threat over here. Still, I gotta hold on to my bishop. I was going with check, which would have been a severe problem. But maybe knight here, pawn takes, queen takes, check is a threat. Since he's conveniently gotten rid of all defenders, all the pawns that were in the way. He's kind of kicking me around with those rooks. Okay. Yeah, I don't particularly like this, but I didn't see anything else there. Knight f4 was what I was thinking he could play. Hitting my queen. Still want to sack the knight on g5 here. If I can, but I have to hold on to the bishop because that goes with check and then I get mated. So the queen defending the bishop is critical. And it's nice to have the queen in a position where it's looking at g4. That's also important. But after knight to f4, knight takes, queen takes, there's nothing else there. And after knight f4, if I move the queen sideways, he can grab the knight. Well, maybe knight f4, knight takes, queen takes. I put my queen on the h file and go after this pawn. That's an idea. Okay, so he decided to just back up there. But that allows him to block f4. So I don't have time for the sacrifice once again. Once again, I don't have time for that because of the bishop hanging. Let's try bishop here. Now I do the sack. I'm out of time anyway, so I better do something.
Check.
Okay, so where is the next check? The next check is there. He goes there. Well, I don't have much time to calculate it. The problem is, yeah, he's on
Check.
a dark square.
Check.
I have to keep checking because there's a... No, that's not a mate here, actually. Should I go for the draw? Do I have anything else? Thinking check with the knight there. With the knight out of the way, I have a check here.
Check.
And a check here. And a check here. Or here if he runs away. Yeah, I forgot with the bishop out of the way I am
Check.
I was guarding that square, so there wasn't a mate there. Now I thought rook here would be check, but I guess I still have nothing.
Check.
Nothing but, let's try this
Check.
again one more time. Check here maybe?
Check.
Just have to get the rook in there somehow. I can't figure out a way to do it.
Check.
Oh well.
Game drawn.
Okie doke. Well, at least I didn't lose that one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will do a post-mortem and see you guys later. Bye.